today it's going to be something a little different than we're normally used to. This video is going to be talking about basic individual movement techniques for fire and movement, as well as context to the game Bellum. So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of use MS Paint like a lot of you normally used to, we're going to use the whiteboard, right? Easy, simple, I can easily talk through it, and I can draw and move freely about it, right? So this is going to be what we're going to call block 1 or level 1, if you want to call it. So I'll write at the top here, I'll say level 1, okay? I'm just going to put Indy for individual movement, and then I'm going to put BP for buddy pair as well. Underneath that, we will have fire and movement, keying on fire and movement, not fire and maneuver. So this is all going to be explained as real world tactics applied to video games, like I said before, specifically the game of Bellum. So for all of you that are watching and you're like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. Yes, there's going to be parts that aren't going to make sense, or there's going to be certain nuance about how I'm explaining it, because I'm explaining it in gamer terms and video game terms and how they apply to the video game mechanics. So first and foremost, you need to know a few things, right? So you have the aft position, and then you have the fore position. Okay, so some responsibilities in the aft and fore position. So this is where you reload. Right, the aft is essentially the rear. This is where you also conduct your assessment and your movement for your SAMK acronym, which I will go to in a second. So assess and move. These are pretty much the main 3 things you're doing in the aft position or the rear. The fore, right, which is going to be where you are suppressing, probably misspelled that. You're going to be assessing as well here. And then you're going to be killing. Now, you're probably kind of confused about the whole, how these 3 in each position, so fore, front, aft, rear, how they apply to the SAMK. So SAMK is suppress, assess, move, and then kill. Now, essentially, this is the cycle of the infantryman, right? So if you were to draw arrows, right, as a little diagram, that is what you're doing. You're suppressing, assessing, and moving and killing, right? So if we were to erase all of this and then dive into the suppress, assess, move, kill, and how that looks in real time, essentially what's going to happen is with the aft man here and the fore man here in the buddy pair, the fore man is suppressing, right? So he's shooting. All right, we'll say the enemy, we'll just do X's and O's. So the enemy is up here, okay? He's suppressing, so we'll write this up here. So check, he's suppressing. Now, next, he needs to assess. What is he assessing? Well, he needs to be assessing the effects of his suppression, meaning, is he actually keeping the enemy fixed in position or keeping the enemy's heads down? He also needs to assess where he's going to move to, right? And then finally, he's going to hit move, which is where he's moving to from his assessment, which is like micro terrain, little ditches and divots, defilade, rocks, thicker trees, right, where he can find cover. And then he's going to go to kill, which essentially restarts back to the suppression piece. So what that would look like is, if he's suppressing, this guy will bound, get to his next position. He will start suppressing. This guy has now graduated from the suppression. He is assessing said suppression and where he's going to move to. So let's say that there is a tree here, and then there is a boulder looking rock there. He's going to assess which one is more than likely going to provide him the most cover and protection to fire from. He assesses that probably this boulder, this bigger piece of cover, is his best chance. So he's then going to move to cover, right? Micro-terrain. And he's going to then hold here. Now, there's a reason why I made this shorter, his bound, and he didn't actually bound past him. It's because we need to also talk about what a double bound is. So a double bound is when you are pushing up to your next piece of cover or micro-terrain, and say you are either online or still behind your friendly unit that is still suppressing for you. You would just yell out double bounding, continue your assessment piece, start looking in this area of where you're going to bound to. Let's just say, hey, look, there's a small ditch, right? There's a hole right here, like a artillery hole, right? You will then come up there, start here, and then continue to kill, right? Because you've just moved. And then that you rinse and repeat that cycle, right? Suppress, assess, move, kill. Now, a few things during this is also need to be considered, and that's going to be your rate of fire. Now, some people will do a drill like this in real life, and they'll yell bang, bang, or they'll yell 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If you're going to use the 1, 2, 3, 4, which I argue you should, you need to actually count in your rounds. So here, right? We know this is the foreman. We know this is the aft man. What was one of the things that you have to do as the aft, right? It's reload. Good. Hopefully you entered reload. You're going to yell out reloading. What this does is it sends a direct line of communication to this guy and lets him know he needs to pick up his rate of fire, because he is currently at what would be known as the sustained rate of fire. An example of a sustained rate of fire. I'm not going to say anything doctrinal here. There will be doctrinal foundations, but I don't want you to take what I say as if I'm pulling it from doctrine. But the sustained rate of fire, the purpose of it is to extend the amount of time you can suppress the enemy while still being able to empower or enable someone else to maneuver. Now, currently, during this reload period here, that is now, instead of having 1, 2 guns in the fight, you just lost a gun, so now you're stuck with just 1 gun in the fight. And the enemy was originally being shot at by 2 separate entities. He is now only being shot at by 1. So be due to the reload back here. So what does that mean for this guy? It means he needs to increase his rate of fire to probably the rapid rate. So an example of this would be he's shooting 1 round every, say, 4 to 6 seconds. Just an example, arbitrary numbers. 1 round every 4 to 6 seconds. He hears that his aft man is reloading. He now ups his rate of fire to 1 round every 2 seconds. So as you can see, he's now shooting faster to make up for the fact that this gun back here is no longer shooting due to the reload. So that should cover essentially kind of like a rate of fire and stuff like that. So we've gone over a few things rather quickly, actually. So we've gone over SAM-K, which was suppress, assess, move, kill. We've gone over a very, very quick crash course on rates of fire. And then we've also gone over the positions of the buddy pair, right? And that all encompasses, this right here is going to equal fire and movement. Keyword movement. When you think of fire and movement, I want you to think of buddy rushing. So this equals buddy rushing. All right. So that is like part 1 right here. As down and dirty and as wave topped and as simplistic as I can possibly think I can make it, that is buddy rushing in a nutshell. Okay. So with that in mind, we are going to go over in the next video fire team level fire and maneuver, and other considerations at the fire team level.